Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. All across the United States, there is a return to ancient wisdom and a return to modalities of healing that were ancient in origin, established in practice, and culturally diverse. We've had an increase in an interest in meditation and connecting deeply in altered states. Holistic medicine practices have come forward, and we're calling it the age of enlightenment. And I don't know if this is dawning just in the West, because many of these practices are from the beginning of time in other cultures. But at least in the West, we're having a dawning of an age of enlightenment. Back in the late 1800s, Madame Blavatsky brought Eastern thought to the West. Now it's really shifted to where doctors and hospitals are beginning to incorporate energy medicine into their practices. I was really surprised a few years ago to have an option of having Reiki done on me, which is energy modality. The ancient arts of astrology and numerology and an increased respect for the seers, mediums would be considered seers of our time, and all the diversity of energy practices, Reiki, Brennan, Donna Eden. I think there's a thing called responsive energy medicine, acupuncture, all of these different ways. There just seems like a revolution going on in our awareness of practices that would lead to healing and connection between us as people. We're looking for that because it's something that our society is missing. And even in hospitals and doctors' offices, there's more and more of a collaboration in creating a harmonious link between conventional and traditional medicine. You're seeing people recommended to take some yoga or Tai Chi or combine their Ayurvedic practices with conventional medicines. Things like Reiki and acupuncture are becoming sort of common household words now. Today's guest, Jill Mattson. She is a really accomplished shamanic healer and sound healer. And I'm going to see if I can get her on the line now. There we go.
Hello.
Hi, Jill. We're live on the air. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Jill is returning to us. She had done an episode on sound healing, and unfortunately, we weren't able to archive that show on YouTube because we had disruption. Sort of funny that it was a sound healer that we had disruption with, but we've got it all straight this time, and I've got a new way of connecting, and we're all learning that. I was talking right before you got on here about how ancient practices seem to be becoming more and more common in our conversation and in the use of the combinations between traditional and conventional medicines. So I wanted to introduce you. So let me give them your spiel here.
Okay.
All right. Jill Mattson is an accomplished artist. She is a musician. And musician is really a small word for what she does. She creates music using toning and sounds. It's just amazing. She's a lecturer. She's a popular speaker and author. She's recorded several CDs that use ancient and modern sound healing techniques. And she's written some books on it. So check her out. You can Google her and find her. If you want to check her out while we're on the show, you can find her at ancient-music.com. And also, I believe, jillswingsoflight.com. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I also wanted to share with them that this isn't some sort of immediate interest to yours. This is a long time study that you've put in, really extensive research on modern sound healing. I believe you have about 20 years of study dedicated to the antiquities and secret societies, which are those organizations that protect the knowledge for some of these deeper powers and healing capabilities. I love what you said in your bio that I saw on your website. To crack ancient subtle energy secrets hidden in front of our noses as music, one needs to understand numerology, music, quantum physics, altered states of consciousness, psychic abilities, and more. And without that background, it's easy to conclude that the ancient people were very primitive or superstitious, but you have really gained a broad understanding and cracked that code of ancient musical secrets. So again, welcome, Jill. We're so happy to have you with us.
Wow, you make me sound so good. Thank you, Tracey.
Well, you are good. No effort required. Today I thought maybe we would talk about shamanic healing. Let's go to the rudiments because I don't know at what level of knowledge some of our listeners are. What is the word shaman? What is shamanic? What is that exactly?
In the American Indian traditions, and also in Africa, villages would have healers, and the healers would know a lot of these ancient secrets. Lore has it, and I have this in my book, The Lost Ways of Time. When Atlantis sunk, it had 12 major tribes, and each tribe excelled in a certain type of healing. As the planet sank over a large number of years, the people left, and they left in tribes. So you will find some of this ancient knowledge in the Americas, in China, in Egypt, in Africa. And so the different continents or tribes have different techniques. And when you put them all together, it's really cool. But today, we're just going to talk about shamanic. These would be the people who have remembered these ancient traditions of using sound, of using things found in nature, herbs and plants, of using movement in dances to get better, and combining these to heal and to find your purpose in life.
So sound and maybe herbal things or things found in nature and movement. Yeah, I'd never heard it broken down that way. I like that very much.
Kind of thinking back towards Africa, they had the witch doctors and the shamans, the same thing, and they did a lot of healing with drum beats.
Yes.
How in the world do you heal with that? Come on. But actually, it's quite a powerful tool. If you look at the scientific process of entrainment, if you were in a clock shop and you had a very loud grandfather clock going tick, 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 and little tiny clocks, the pendulum's going tick, 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 very shortly. All clock will match the grandfather clock. The stronger vibration takes over. It's the science behind the Hermetic maxim, so as above, so below. And the same thing happens with resonance. If I have a violin off to my right and I play the A string, and the violin right off my other side, the A string will sound. Nobody touches it. So energy transfers on the same frequency. So we see sound as invisible, but in a subtle, meaning soft, hard to hear because the volume's too low, energy transfers. So when you're playing the drum beat, within a very short amount of time, you can entrain your brainwaves. And in fact, I think it's very hard not to entrain your brainwaves. We have these things called sound and light machines. They have them on Joe's Wings of Light, but they're computers.
What is
They're
it
fabulous.
called? Sound and light?
Machines.
Oh, okay.
They're fabulous. They're computers. And they put in frequencies in your ears and in your eyes. There's this phenomenon called binaural beats, and this is science again, is that because your head hears and surround sound, and then it combines it all and you think it's one, but the process that the brain uses is it combines sound from both of your ears. When you hear a sound very close to your ears, the sound wave will bounce off your ear, but it will not, with the geometry, it won't hit the other ears. So like if somebody whispers in my left ear, my right ear doesn't hear it.
Oh, okay. Yes,
And,
like a focus to the sound being projected.
The Tibetan monks did these with little tiny sounds with tea shawls. You put a high pitch or like in your right ear, in your left ear.
Mm-hmm.
And when your brain hears these two sounds, they're not duplicates, it opens up and you go from either right brain to left brain into whole brain. And let's say I heard 10 cycles per second on my left ear and 20 on my right ear. I'm going to hear the difference between them. So mathematics are going to occur in the waves combining. Now, doesn't that sound boring?
No, that's very interesting. So if you have two differential sounds in each ear, I've heard the term binaural beats, but I didn't understand what exactly that was. So it's a way of shifting your brain wave activity right or left. Did I hear that correctly?
Well, no. You switch from right or left directly into whole brain.
Whole brain. Oh, okay.
Just taking up your IQ, like these little machines in my site, they're so cool. It works on you so fast. Your brainwave will match your binaural beats in a matter of a minute or so. So you can craft them so that you quickly go down into delta and beta brainwaves while awake.
Tell people that are listening that might not know what a delta or beta brainwave is. What are those levels?
Well, delta and theta are the brainwaves that you have in your deep sleep. When you're in deep sleep, your brainwaves operate in theta and delta. And during that time, your body rebuilds. All of the healthy chemicals or nutrients that we go buy at health food stores, the body makes them at those brainwave frequencies. You're extremely psychic at those brainwave frequencies if you're consciously awake.
Oh, that's very interesting. I often say that in my classes, that getting into the psychic zone is sort of that state between sleep and wake where you're able to maintain that state of relaxation and kind of diffuse focus so that you can allow imagery to come in. You can feel that kind of thing. And also I've thought or noticed that often people will maybe meet somebody who's crossed over their father, their mother, their sister, their brother in a dream state. And I'm telling them, this is real. You are connecting with them, but it's because your left brain would reject that or your emotions would occlude your accepting it in a fully awake state. Interesting. I didn't know that about nutrients. That's kind of cool. I guess deep sleep would be very important then.
Your body rebuilds, youthening. And I did this like sound and light machine, which is copying ancient shamanic techniques, by the way.
Oh, even with the light.
Yeah, think of your fire.
Oh, right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've seen those glasses, the different healing spectrum glasses. How would that relate?
Well, there's many ways to get frequencies in your brain. Eyes is one, and ears is another. Resonance is a third. With the glasses, they're making it more powerful. Let's say you're an Indian and you're around a fire. You know how that's mesmerizing.
It is. It's so relaxing. Like even a candle flame kind of gives me a headache because it's so focused. Well, I'm a Sagittarius, so I love fire. But I think it's true for all of us, unless we've been traumatized, of course, by fire. It is generally very satisfying. Must be very primal.
And, of course, it's eluting frequencies that go in your eyes and your ears. So the sound and light machines, they're taking you to these brain waves. And I did this sound and light machine probably for about once a day for a year. Now, that's a lot. You know, most people, including myself, we buy toys and then we put them in the closet.
Right.
But after using it, I had pretty much every psychic skill there is. Like being a medium is learning to maintain a certain brainwave while you're awake.
Yeah, it's just extending that psychic ability further along that spectrum. Absolutely. Oh, go ahead.
Remote viewing is another frequency. And the psychic skills line up there. And I just did these over and over until I memorized them. I no longer need the machine.
Right. Combination of sound and light.
Right.
Are there particular frequencies of sound and light that enhance that capacity, or is that process of being exposed to a spectrum what causes that? How does that work?
My understanding is that different theta brainwaves and delta brainwaves will give you different psychic gifts. However, when I did the machine, I did a variety of them, and after a lot of use, I ended up with almost every psychic skill there is.
Yeah, interesting. I teach psychic development, and I believe anyone can develop their skills. But I think I'm like using a rock and a stick because I'm teaching people how to trust their intuition and then break that forward to where they're developing further and further. I think through confirmation, we get confidence. You know, when we find out, oh, really? You do have a grandmother that had red hair or something like that.
Yeah, sound in ancient traditions was the fast track. It's not better than anything, but it has a capacity to easily get repeats in. And you think each time you listen, you get in a drop of that energy and you start to make a habit. It can really add up. And there's no willpower to gain these skills.
Right. It's a natural process. I know I had heard that drum beats, that repetitive drumming, like shamanic drumming, that kind of dun 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 dun, is something that will flip someone into theta like super fast.
Right, exactly. And there, our original topic, is the secret of the major tool of the shamans, is that they use the drum beat, and that sound is intertwining with your brainwaves. They can take you to a very dreamy state where you can look at the root problem of what is your illness. Let me discuss this concept. It's not something we think of today in our medicine. If you view the body as all energy, then all the waves interact. So if you stub your toe and you have a headache, somehow on some itsy level, those two are interacting. And health becomes health of everything. Resonance, when I talked about having one violin and the A played on one creates energy on another material thing that is the same frequency as A. So when you worry, there's going to be things in your body, like the lining of your tummy, that is the same frequency of the emotion worry. And negative energy transfers there when you worry, hence an ulcer. And through resonancy, you can take that drum beat or that brainwave state, and you can look at your illness, whether it's a physical illness. You would be able to go to the root cause. The root cause could be a gene, which, by the way, is vibrational and can alter and be influenced.
Did you say
DNA.
G like the note G?
No, gene like...
genetics.
Yeah.
Okay,
or
so
DNA.
the root cause could be a DNA gene, okay.
Yeah, all vibrational, all changeable. It could be an emotion, often is emotion, all changeable. It could be something in your physical body, could be the primary cause, all changeable. But when you find the root cause, if you fix the root cause, all the other layers disappear.
Yes.
That makes any sense.
Makes great sense.
So there's great wisdom in doing these little out-of-body journeys and going to look at the root cause of what is causing your illness or particular problem. So it's a very unique way to guide. It's almost hard not to do it if you've ever done a shamanic journey. And you go to this little experience, quickly go into the spirit world, and if you're doing it for health, you're looking for root cause, and simply by thinking, imagining the opposite, pretending, feeling the opposite, you start to ingest energy that's going to get you balance. It's going to cancel out the issue.
Oh, that's very interesting. I have not ever used shamanic journeying for that. I have sort of naturally done that. I didn't actually realize it was called shamanic journeying. I would listen to a particular CD. It was called Sacred Drums, A Shamanic Journey, that repetitive drumming. And it's like it would throw me back and I would start having visions of being in a Native American village. And there was a fire and there were people dancing around the fire. And I was lying down. And so I wondered, well, maybe I was a shaman in a past life or something. And then I've had journeys where I went into the ground and experienced other dimensions. But I don't think I've ever thought of it for healing per se. Well, maybe once, because I did do one thing with my son. But in general, I think I've looked at it for messages or for travel kind of thing. So when you're looking at it for healing, how would you differentiate that? Because maybe some of our listeners have trance meditated or even possibly trance healing.
Well, first of all, I think your intent has a lot to do with it. I first began with the witch doctors in Africa and the way that they would use drumming and dancing and action and movements, and they, quote-unquote, heal. It can be quite effective. So the other thing, just kind of a tangential thing that you said, and then I'll tie these both together.
Oh, yes.
When you go to past lives, which are technically all occurring all at once, but we're just conscious of the moment.
Yes.
So we think what's past is past and it can never be changed, but not really so. It's all memory. It's all vibrational.
Mm-hmm.
For example, let's say my mother beat me as a child because I started a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and whined in my soup and felt like she was a bad mommy for a long time because she beat me. Then I'm an adult and I see my child playing with fire. And I'm very angry and I want to stop it. At very minimum, I can understand. And it's very easy then to forgive my mother because I can say, oh, it wasn't that she didn't love me. She was trying to protect me from myself starting the fire. So as soon as I change my mind, that memory changes its frequency. And that little tiny, tiny memory, which is subtle energy that's in my fields, suddenly uplifts and becomes white light. You know, it's part of the enlightenment process. I'm getting rid of my crap and I'm improving it.
Yeah.
So when you think of a past life, yes, things can change. And sometimes when you're doing these journeys and you go into these past lives, you're going into the root cause, because the root cause of an illness may not be in this lifetime. Let me give you an example. One of my workshops, this lady came in and she has brace on her foot and she's in a walker, so she has problems with her knees. And she talked about all these surgeries and all these issues.
Uh-huh.
And then we did a past life regression on her. And here's this life where she's in this combat and the enemy chops all her legs off at her knees.
Mm.
Now, we really got into it because it was very vivid to her. And we worked through forgiving them and letting that go. And shortly thereafter, her knee problems went away.
Mm.
So you may have been at the root cause. And one of the things I've noted, I've done many past life regressions on people. I like to do it playing my music.
Mm-hmm.
I found that if I play my Stardust and Paint Your Soul music, ethereal, high-level angel kind of music, people remember lives on other planets, lives as mermaids, lives as angels, being out in space, and these really high, lofty, celestial things.
Yes, yes.
If I put on music of my healing flowers, which goes into a negative emotion to remove it, while we're in the negative part, if I'm playing that and doing the past life regression, they're going to come up with a lifetime in which they were creating the negative energy that the music's trying to release.
Yes, yes.
So what music you're listening to during a past life will influence it.
Oh, that's
and then
very powerful, yes.
And how we tie these together is I would suspect that finding a purpose in life and finding a mission and doing the visions is on some level extraordinarily healing.
Yes.
If we can figure it out and understand what's going on. Like, for example, the lady who we did the past life regression and her legs were chopped off at the knees. Mm-hmm. It's not enough to see that to heal. She had to really get into that and forgive them. Not just say it. Oh. Really release that energy.
If you'd like to check out Jill Mattson, she's at ancient-music.com. If you tuned in late and you would like to capture the beginning of the show, or if you would like to listen to any of our previous episodes, you can find them all on youtube.com and just put in Medium Tracey Lockwood or From a Medium's Perspective. Or you can find them listed, at least most of them, on my website at mediumtracylockwood.com. Next week, I'm going to be talking to you about surviving life, loving, and letting go. Today we are with Jill Mattson, healer, a sound healer, a shamanic healer as well, artist, musician, author. And Jill, we're so glad to have you with us. We were talking about past lives, and you were talking about determine the root cause of an illness by the type of music that you listen to and the resonances and tones of that. And that often something that's going on in this life might not be actually from this life, that we're living lives simultaneously or existences simultaneously. As you were saying, we think of them as past lives. Tell us a little bit more.
A little off of our shamanic journey, but ancient people were well aware of quantum energy and some of the things that are today's physicists are discovering. For example, there have been experiments that have proved what Einstein called spooky action at a distance.
Spooky action at a distance. I love that.
Yeah, that's his words. Or quantum entanglement, I think is the name that's stuck. But what this is if you have a subtle energy, well, the way the scientists explained it like this. If you had a roulette wheel on Earth, and you had every little thing that it could land on was black, white, black, white, black, white. And if you had another one, let's say on the planet Mars, way out, and your quantum energy, meaning tiny little energies, were somehow entangled, that if you spun that roulette wheel on Earth and it landed on white, it would spin on Mars and it would land on black.
Oh.
So that there's a balancing, almost like a reciprocal. If you go too far to the right, it goes too far to the left.
A duality, basically, or a balance. Oh, very interesting.
And they did an experiment, I believe someplace in the Caribbean, and they were able to replicate this and prove the existence of quantum entanglement. So I don't even think it's a theory. I think it's been proven.
Wonderful.
The ancient Egyptians had this process in which they would tune your body with sounds. And then they had additional set of tones where they would tune your ka body.
Which body? I'm sorry, spell that out.
Ka, K-A.
Ka body, okay.
Yeah. The ka body was your exact opposite. So if I'm a woman, my ka body's male, it's my exact opposite, and it resides in the spirit world.
Oh, very interesting.
And they would tune this subtle quantum entanglement energy as well as tuning your own physical body, because if they couldn't find the root cause in your physical body, the ancient Egyptians went to your quantum entanglement.
Very
How cool is that?
That's way cool.
I thought so. Just showing that some of these ancient traditions weren't really so superstitious. They worked, and they were used all over the globe because they worked. It's that subtle energy, your emotions, your thoughts, quantum energy. It's malleable. It's easily controlled. And so you could do something like music, create a certain energy, just listen a lot, and bam, you're changed.
Oh, that's fantastic. You were talking about using the drum and sound patterns and things, and you said several cultures have done this. You've mentioned the ancient Egyptians and the Native Americans. What other cultures use rhythm beats to affect us?
The Africans and the Hindus. The ancient Hindus had powerful healing. In my book, Ancient Sounds, Modern Healing, I do an interview with Sri Swamiji Ganapathy Sakananda. He has like 8 million followers, brought people back from the dead. He's a very important Hindu guru, and he heals people with music. I do get into that in the Ancient Sounds book, but here we're going to talk about the Hindu use of rhythm patterns.
Okay.
They have extraordinarily complex rhythm patterns in their song, and each one is crafted to cure a certain illness or emotional problem.
Really? Oh, that's so interesting.
Oh, yeah. It's like a medicine cabinet. And if you think about it, there's a crossover between the frequency and a rhythm pattern. A frequency is, if you think of a car going by and it's got a great big bass and it's doing loud rap or something, you can feel it in your bones. like going womp, 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 and it's a pitch slow enough that you could actually feel the cycles per second. You can feel the rhythm beat. Likewise, a drum can be tip-tip-tip for a snare or boom-boom for a bass, and the pitch is different. So there is an overlap. In ancient Hinduism, they, like other cultures, found nature to be God's gift to us. And nature inherently is very healing. They would look in nature for geometric shapes, and they might copy them. So like if you had geometric shapes spaced a foot apart, that would be like a boom, 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 one rhythm. They would look in nature. They would copy nature's patterns into rhythms. They would copy the pat of a mother putting her baby to sleep, and they would create a raga, which is their kind of a song, to help someone else go to sleep. Copy the pattern of the horse galloping to give people energy so they too can gallop.
That is so curious, and it makes me wonder. I have craved rhythm. And so over the years, I've sat in a few drum circles and collected a few CDs that deal with different rhythmic patterns. And there's certain ones that I kind of go back to. It seems to like light up a part of my brain or something when I hear it. And it's almost like an addiction. It's like I have to keep listening to that. I'll play that CD or that song over and over.
I would suggest that massage, if you will, is crucial in vitalizing to that point of your brain and is indeed good for you on many levels, including your health.
Oh, that would make sense. And I have a brain injury from a car wreck, and I can almost feel it in that area. So when I wasn't as verbal as I am now after my accident, that and the process of doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a grappling art, it's a martial arts on the ground, it's not kicking and punching, those were just very healing to me. Somehow I just instinctively knew I needed to do that. I just never thought about it being intentionally created for someone, or as you were talking about the shamanic journeying, to go into a shamanic journey specifically for the purpose of finding the root cause of your healing.
Intent is very important too.
Yes.
When you set your intent before you go, because Spirit's very good that way in revealing to you that which is enlightening.
You said earlier energy transfers, and I'm always telling people energy follows focus, that process of setting your intent. Absolutely. How cool. Before the show, you had talked a little bit to me about the Hindu rhythm beats and how they create different states of consciousness. Would you tell me some more about that?
Yeah. Sure. Much like the sound and light machine, much like the shamanic journey, a rhythm pattern will be matched on some subtle teeny level in your body. And to some extent, it's going to affect your brainwaves. States of consciousness, we've all experienced changes in them. If we listen to a movie soundtrack, our moods kind of follow the music, which includes pitches, rhythms, and so forth. And our emotions actually are generated by the movie soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, like very dun, 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 you know, you get kind of nervous or, you know, start crying just listening to the, you know.
Absolutely. Those sounds don't come in and isolate our emotions and make us feel. They also play our body, our drums, our muscles, our organs, our tissues, and our brainwaves.
Mm.
And so we've just exploited music for the soundtrack to make money on movies. Mm-hmm. But the ancient people were exploiting the music for all of these healing modalities.
Wow.
And even practical measures, the rain dance.
I don't know that there are too many people that haven't heard of the idea of a rain dance, but tell us a little more in depth about that and how that works with the rhythms.
Yeah. First of all, our modern world thinks that the rain dance is done by a bunch of superstitious idiots. Mm-hmm. Really, we have no time for believing in it. However, we have scientifically studied exhaust fumes, and industrial exhaust decreases on weekends in the city. Mm-hmm. And it's been shown to have an increase in 20% by rain. Poor weather conditions are blamed on HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program,
Mm-hmm.
and the sounds they create. Air contains water, but not near the ground. It's usually in an invisible gas or water vapor. As the warm air rises, which warm airs will, the vapor expands and then it cools. And the cool air can't hold as much water vapor as warm air. So it condenses on little pieces of dust and forms droplets around the dust particle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a bunch of these and you get a cloud.
Oh, it condenses on the dust. Yes.
Yeah, so you get more and more of them together. And when the drops get big, they will fall because of gravity.
Right.
So some of the techniques, if you look at rain dances done all over the globe for agriculture, and their method of wringing the water droplets out of the air, is that they make hot air rise, a fire in the middle of rain dancers. The movement creates heat. The long ceremonies of dance and song create heat. The other thing is about the vibrations of the drum beat. It interacts with the environment. So it's going to some degree, entrain the air. And it's going to start to shake those little water droplets so they fall, and hence you have some rain. The water droplets are vibrated with the singing, the drumming, and the dancing. It helps overcome the cohesion and release the water droplet from the crowd.
It's like milking the sky or creating a microclimate. That's so interesting. Yes.
Yeah, the shaman methods, if we were to really scientifically investigate them with an open mind, I think we'd learn a lot and learn a lot of healing modalities. We see a lot of practical benefits. You can use sound for just about anything. You can use sound to make your garden grow better. Ancient people did that, and it's also been proven today. There's a physicist in France. His name is Joel Sternheimer. He measured the frequencies of amino acids to the building blocks of plants, and he played each frequency in the order that it is in the plant's protein. In their songs. Oh. Like one plant's amino acid was O Solo Mio.
Oh.
And when you play the plant, we don't hear it because the volume's too low, okay? But he can measure it with science now. So when you play the plant song back to the plant, it doubles in growth.
You know, I had heard that classical music, if it's played around a developing child, helps develop their brain activity and calms them. And the same, you radiate hatred or love toward a plant, that it will respond. And I know animals and people do too, but how interesting to think that that vibration of an emotion or a nutrient or whatever it is that stimulates growth and prosperity would be relative to a sound. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's ancient techniques for growing your garden. A group in Spain and others that put little sensors, maybe something like a sensor for a lie detector, something that senses very minute vibrations on leaves and roots. And then they'll hook them up to a synthesizer, and they create harmony and song. It's just so tiny. It's below our hearing. That's why when we're around flowers, and when we're around plants, it feels so good. I mean, we can't hear it, but subtly, it's just so uplifting.
It is.
And I've replicated that in my healing flower symphonies. I put in the frequencies of flowers, and each flower is going to have an associated benefit. Like being around daisies is cheerful. Being around a rose feels beautiful. And in the flower remedies, flower kingdom is correlated to emotions. You can take a flower remedy to ingest that emotion. And I did the exact same thing in the music.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Listening to the music is like being around a flower and receiving its emotional benefit. And again, here's the thing with sound. You want a positive habit, just listen a lot.
I have a friend, Kay Thompson Liu, that does voicebio.com, and she figured out, I don't know how she does it all, but she takes a 2-minute segment of your voice and has calculated the resonance of each of the chemicals in the periodic chart. And she can actually diagnose, I don't know if that's the right term, but assess what's missing in your body and figure out what herbal components match that. And what you're doing sounds just as sophisticated and just as interesting.
a book on that science. It's called Secret Sounds.
Secret Sounds.
Yeah, Ultimate Healing. It's at my website. It's on that.
So would you share with our listeners how they can reach you? I know I've mentioned it earlier, but just say whatever you like about them being able to find you.
JillsWingsOfLight.com. There's a half-hour of free music on the homepage. If you download the half-hour free music, I also send out a newsletter on how to heal with sound. Yeah, ancient-music.com gives you some videos and examples of some of the ancient healing techniques. And shortly, I am going to launch a sound healing school using sound in your voice, ancient methods like Atlantis Returns, ancient Egyptian secrets, sound and crystal, sound and manifesting, da-da-da-da-da. In about a month, I should have that up on my Jill's Wings of Light website.
Oh, that is fantastic. Congratulations on that. I'm working toward a psychic development and holistic healing school myself, but I think I'm about 3 or 4 years out for that. The energy's going there. Oh, Jill, you are amazing. I appreciate so much your being here. I'm delighted to tell our listeners that you'll be back with us in the next bit. And thank you all for joining us today on From a Medium's Perspective. And thank you, Jill, for being with us.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. And I hope that you did enjoy our show. Again, our next episode is going to be Surviving Life, Loving and Letting Go. And Jill's episode will be up on YouTube, hopefully within a week here. We'll have it up for you to listen to. And I wanted to remind everyone that I wish them a blessing, that today there be peace within, and that you trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be, and that you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born out of a belief in yourself and in others and in the source of our light and love, however you perceive that. May you use the gifts that you have received and pass on the love that's been given to you, especially by Jill today. May you content yourself with being just the way that you are and know that happiness is there for each and every one of us. We will see you next week for a view of life from a medium's perspective. And remember, it is never inappropriate to be kind, and without integrity, you have nothing. See you next week.